It's a great day to build some fence. Well, today we've got a little fencing project. I'm going to show you what we're going to do, and then I'm also going to tell you about what I think is one of the best horse fences that you'll ever find. So let's check out what we've got here. I put this fence in last winter. It was actually last fall, but that doesn't matter. And there's one mistake I did when I did it, and that was I put this piece right here, this post right here on this corner. And as you can see, it pulls this post in. And then when that happens, the fence loses all of its slack. Now at the time, there is a big dirt pile right here. So I couldn't just run a fence line straight from that post to there. Well, I hauled that dirt pile out. So what's gonna happen today is we're gonna pull this post out of the ground because it's a little bit loose. And then we're going to straighten this fence line out. Just run a straight shot of fence from here right over to that post. And it'll be pretty easy, and I'll take you on the journey with me. Before we do that though, I want to show you some of this fence and tell you why it's probably one of the best horse fences I've ever come across. Now this fence here I got is called Equiline Star. It's not actually made anymore by that company, but it is made by another company called Finish Line. And if you can look real closely, I'm not sure if I can get focus, it's actually a little star shape, and it's it feels like a hard plastic, but it's very stretchy. Check this out. I don't know if you can tell how much I'm stretching that, but I can pull this clear out here like this, and it doesn't lose its tension. It pops right back into position when it's done. So if you get a horse that gets tied up in it, it gives with them. And it does have a braking strength too. It's like a 3,000 pound braking strength. So if they're in a catastrophic situation, it will brake and let that horse free. The other great thing about these fences is how long of a span they can run. I think I'm running these on 20-foot spacing between the posts, maybe even 24. And then it's just regular T-posts in between with electric fencing connectors, and the fence itself isn't electric, but these just hold it in place. One of the things I absolutely love about this fence and the style of fencing is that it's something you basically put in place and then you forget it. So when I was putting in new fencing on our horse farm here, I've had a lot of years of putting in fence and constantly tightening it and going out to mend it and repair it. So I said I want to find the perfect fence that I can set up and never have to touch it again. And I think that's this fence. It's been, I think I've had it up for 6 years now. And I ran around 8,000 feet of it, and I have not had to touch it since. On the inside corners, I just run inside corner insulators like this, and that just keeps the wires nice and tight to the posts. And then they terminate. There's a couple different ways you can terminate them. I like to use these grapples, as they're called. They're made by Gripple. And let's zoom in so you can see exactly what I'm using there. Can you see that? They're made in England. These are the 3.2 to 4.2 millimeter or 10 to 7.5 standard wire gauge, and these are large. So what happens with these is the wire slides in through there, comes around the post, and then it comes back through this side, and it locks and it's tight. And you can actually tighten the wire up by pulling on this and then sliding this forward, and it'll keep the wire, or it'll keep the wire in that position nice and tight. You don't have to mess with tying it, nailing it. It's super fast and super easy. I run 4 strands, a foot between each strand, and these Gripple connectors are at every terminating post. They are a bit pricey, but I think the price is worth it because they're fast and you don't have to touch it again. Let's come check the skate out. I'll show you how I run the electrical wire. So this is a terminating end at the gate, but on the outside I actually have an electrical rope that I'm running. So the way that this works is I have the electrical rope. It goes to this twist tensioner here that you can just turn it to tension it, and then there's a spring tensioner there. So if it loosens up a little bit, it maintains tension. Sometimes these ropes do loosen up over time, and so it's easy to just come and give this a few twists. And then my jumper wire, which runs down the post, under the ground, and back up to that side. And then you can see I've got another tensioner spring right there, which keeps this entire line tight all the way down to this fence line right here. Now you see all these branches that go along that. The thing I absolutely love about this fence, and I actually see I've got some branches to cut off because they're sitting on my fence, is I've had literal trees, actual trees that fell on this very fence line. 2 of them at the same time. There's some of these trees. 2 trees fell on this fence line at the same time. It bent the fence down, but all I had to do is lift those trees up and the fence just snapped right back, and there was no repair to it. Now for running the insulators with the electric rope, I run a 2 to 3 inch insulator so it sticks it out from the fence line a little more. That way if the horses do lean up against it and they try to test the fence, then this will bite them. Now one thing you can do that I haven't done is put in brace posts at terminating ends. That's probably best practice because it'll keep your posts from leaning in. Bracing isn't a bad idea. I didn't because I was probably feeling a little lazy, but I'm also not running these fences very tight. You can really get these tight. But as you can see, mine are pretty loose and springy, even though they still look nice and tight going down the line. And I like them a little loose because it makes it easier for me to crawl through them, makes it easier for the dog to go under them. And like I said earlier, the horses just don't really bug them. Here's another thing I love about this fence. Check this out. It's a little link, so if you break a strand or you get to the end of a strand and you need to combine a new one, it's like a little Chinese finger cuff. You just insert your strand into each end, it clicks in place, and you got an instant fix. These things are so cool too. It's a little spiral pigtail, and all you do is you just wrap your 2 ends of your rope together through that pigtail, and then you have a nice tight connection. One thing I learned about building this fence is all these little gadgets and gizmos, they do add up, add a little bit of cost to it, but they really saved on the amount of time it took to construct the fence initially. And then when I have to go make repairs in the future, they make things so much easier to do. So if you're thinking about doing something like this, I would really recommend spending a little extra money to get those neat little gadgets that make the whole process a little easier. Now I'm standing out in the woods, which seems pretty random, except look at this massive stump behind me. That huge thing was in the dry lot that we were just in, where we're installing that fence. We had to dig that whole thing out, and then I had to pay $1,100 for an excavator to come and pop it out of the ground. And was that a job? cut the fence strand. Bye, horses. Now I'm just gonna cut the fence strand. Got this post in and got some concrete in there. So we're just gonna let that concrete sit until it sets. And I'll fill the rest of that in. And then got my T-post pounded in. Well, if you found this video useful, give it a like, and if you have any questions, leave those in the comments and I'll try to answer it. Otherwise, until next time, I'll see you later.